Oh, mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy. A kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you? A kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you? Now these words sound queer and funny to your ear, a little bit jumbled and jivey. Well, mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy. Oh, mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy. A kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you? A kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you? Welcome to Young at Heart, session number 161. I'm Father James DeLucio with the Paulist Fathers, offering you nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, Lewis Carroll, limericks, larks, and such, and other things to keep us all young at heart. Maresy Dotes and Ozy Dotes, Dozy Dotes was a request from my friend Sheila, and I dedicate this to her and to my mom, who often sang this song to us when we were children, and sometimes she still sings it when we're visiting in the morning and we're having breakfast. God bless. Hi, Mom. Today I have another African American folktale, this one part of the echoing story that we find in every country and every culture and almost every language. And you'll recognize it quite early, I think, in our story, and it is entitled The Maiden, the Frog, and the Chief's Son. There once was a man who had 2 wives, and they each had a daughter. He loved one of the 2 wives and her daughter, but he hated the other one and her daughter. One day the wife he disliked fell very ill, and it was not long before she died. Her daughter was taken then in by the wife he loved, and there she would be. The girl moved into that wife's hut, and there she lived with no mother of her own, just a father who disliked her. And every day, this stepmother would push her out of the hut, sending her off to the bush to gather wood. And when she returned, she had to pound up the fura. Fura is a kind of gruel, usually eaten in the morning. And then, after she pounded up the fura, she had to pound the tuwo. Tuwo is a porridge made of millet or other grain, usually the evening meal. All she had to eat were the burnt bits at the bottom of the pit, because they wouldn't let her eat the fura or the tuwo that they ate. Day after day, things went on like this. Now, the girl had an older brother, and he invited her to come and eat at his house, which she did. But still, when she returned home from the bush and asked for a drink of water, they would not let her have one. And they would not give her any proper food, only, again, the coarsest of what she had scraped from the bottom of the pot. She would take these scrapings and she would throw them into a pit where there were many frogs. The frogs would come out and start eating the scrapings. After they had finished eating, they would return to the water, and the young girl would go back home. Things went on like that, day after day, until it was time for the festival. The day before it was to take place, she went with the scrapings and the coarse leftovers to the pit, and she saw a frog who was squatting there as if he was waiting for her, for indeed he was. When she reached the pit, she threw the bits of food into it, and the frog said, "Young lady, you have always been very kind to us, and now well, just come by here tomorrow morning. That's the morning of the festival. And if you come by then, we will return the favor that you have done for us." "Fine," she said, and then she returned home. The next day was the day of the festival. She was about to go to the pit, just as the frog had told her, but as she was leaving, her half-sister's mother said to her, "Hey! Come over here, you good-for-nothing girl. You haven't stirred the tuwo, or pounded the fura, or fetched the wood, or drawn the water." So the girl never left, and the frog spent the entire day waiting for her. As for her, she had to return to the compound, and then she set off to fetch the wood, and then she fetched the water, and then she set about pounding the tuwo, which she then stirred and removed from the fire. She was then told, "Take the scrapings to the pit." She did as she was told, and then went off to the pit. The frog was still waiting for her. "Tut, tut, girl," he said. "I've been waiting for you since the morning, and you never came." "Old fellow," she said, "I'm a slave, and I didn't have a choice." "How come?" he asked. "Simple," she said. "This is my story. My mother died and left me, her only daughter, all alone. I have a brother, but he is married, and he lives in a compound of his own. My father put me in the care of his other wife. He never really loved my mother, and I was moved into the hut of his other wife. As I told you, slavery is my lot. Every morning I go off to the bush to get wood, and when I return, I have to pound the fura, and then I pound the tuwo, and I don't get anything to eat, just the scrapings, which I share with you." The frog said, "Give us your hand," and she held it out to him, and then both the frog and the girl leaped into the water. We're going to leave you hanging there. It's quite a great cliffhanger, too. What do you think is going to happen in the water? I can guarantee you, unless you know this story, you're not going to guess. I never would have guessed. Even with the parallels of a famous world-renowned story that we all know and love. So, until tomorrow, thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your afternoon and evening. If you go out, wear your mask, stay healthy, stay safe, and God bless. Bye, everyone.